Welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Round one of the NFL Draft is in the books, and the Kansas City Chiefs have selected Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the edge rusher out of Kansas State. A very popular mock draft Chiefs pick, I will say. A lot of mocks over the last few months that have had the Chiefs selecting Anudike-Uzomah. Buzz in the last couple of weeks is that the Chiefs wanted to trade up, but that did not come to fruition. They stay put at 31 and select the edge rusher out of Kansas State. You look at his size here, 6'3" and an eighth inches there, 255 pounds. Value-wise, kind of right on par. I thought he'd be a late first round, early second round guy, and that's kind of what you're getting here in Anudike-Uzomah. Obviously, you've got the local flair as well, playing his college ball at Kansas State. And coming into the draft, edge and wide receiver were your two biggest needs, and you filled one of those with a good player, so I'm pretty happy with that. The way the draft kind of wrapped up here was as follows. And we should really mention, Rolly, I don't know if we're able to get 20 through 24 because that's when the run on receivers went. No receivers went in the top 19 picks, but 25 through 31 was Dalton Kincaid, Mozzie Smith, Anton Harrison. I think Myles Murphy could have been the pick had he fallen to 31, but Cincinnati nabbed him. Brian Bresee. Could Nolan Smith have been the selection? We'll never know. And then Felix Anudike-Uzomah. But 20 through 24, I'll just verbally mention Jackson Smith and Jigba at 20 to Seattle. That started the run on receivers. Quentin Johnston went to the Chargers at 21. Zay Flowers, a player the Chiefs had been heavily linked to over the last couple of weeks. Jordan Addison to Minnesota. And then the cornerback Deontay Banks there to the New York Giants. But again, you fill a need with a good player. I wouldn't say Anudike-Uzomah was my top player on my board at the time, but for what you needed, this pick made a lot of sense. I think it's a solid selection by Brett Veach. I really did think they would trade up tonight. I am a bit surprised that did not happen, especially when no receivers went the top 19 picks. I mean, we're sitting there, we're like, oh man, this is lining up perfectly. Chiefs can trade up into the early mid-20s, maybe even get the receiver of their choice, and boom, 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 they just went. I'd love to know if Brett Veach tried actively to move up. We'll see if reports on that get leaked out. But the Chiefs stay at 31, select the Kansas State edge rusher as they continue to tool this roster to stay in win-now mode. Somewhat inexperienced at edge because they moved him around at Kansas State, but I think he's got really good pass rushing ability coming off the edge. Needs to improve as a run defender, but the competency is there. The technique isn't great, but his production at Kansas State the last couple of years was great. There's no doubt about that. I saw him in person a couple of times against my alma mater, TCU, and he put up some big performances, especially in 2021. Grade the pick for me, A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the selection of Felix Anudike-Uzomah down in the comment section below. By the way, I found it super interesting that Brett Veach was allowed to announce the pick, the Chiefs GM. The draft is in Kansas City, but not sure I've ever seen that before. A, B, C, D, or F, drop a letter grade in the comments. My grade, B. I think it's just solid. Fills a need, not the top player available, but a good player available, like a guy that, again, late round 1, early round 2, so proper range for him. This is a solid B grade. I think when you kind of think of where he'll fit, think of kind of last year what George Karlaftis' role was early on for Kansas City. He was kind of a heavy rotation edge guy, then he became a starter later in the year. I kind of feel that way here. Sub packages as a pass rusher, bring him in as an extra edge. I think that'll be his role early on, and then he could potentially become a starter by midseason. So I think they'll kind of ease him into action, but he'll definitely be involved early on. You look at his numbers last year for Kansas State, had 8.5 sacks. I think he had 10 or 11 in 2021, so he's put together 2 solid campaigns in a row. I think, too, there's something to be said for keeping a guy that or a local kid, right? Where it's like, oh, he might be a little more motivated to play for the Chiefs. If you're not motivated to play for the Chiefs, period, because this is a Super Bowl team that can win more championships, you've got a problem. But I think you might have a little extra juice for this kid to stay close to where he went to college and play for the Kansas City Chiefs. B grade for me. I think the fit makes sense. And Steve Spagnuolo has another pass rusher to work with on this defense, which is something that was needed after losing Frank Clark, moving on from him in the offseason. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be your home for Chiefs coverage during the entire NFL draft, latest news, rumors, trades, draft pick analysis. We're going to have you covered here on this channel, so hit that sub button. Also, go check out our main NFL draft coverage as guys like Will Levis still available, Michael Mayer. If you want every single pick coverage in real time live on Chat Sports, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll be live, I believe, 6 or 5 Eastern tomorrow, 1 or 2 hours before the draft starts. So check that out mañana, as every single pick will be broken down live by our Chat Sports crew. So check that out. We'll, of course, have individual kind of focused action here on the Chiefs Report on what they end up doing throughout day 2. But that's where things sit right there. Okay, so Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the pick for Kansas City at 31. You look ahead tomorrow. We'll take a look at some top players available in a moment. Got the 63rd pick, 95. Still got to think the Chiefs could be a team that trades up tomorrow, because I said it leading up to the draft. I'll still maintain that it's true. The Chiefs have 10 draft picks this year. They don't need to draft 10 players. They don't have that many holes on their roster. Like, if they draft 10 players, all 10 are not going to make the team. There's just not enough room on this roster right now, at least in my opinion. So I think trading up in the second or third round is going to make sense. You look at some of the top receivers available, because I think that's a position to add tomorrow. Josh Downs, he could be a player that is interesting. He's similar to Zay Flowers, to be frank. So if you can get him on day 2, I like that. Jalen Hyatt, if they want a pure burner, he's still out there. You could go get him. Tyler Scott is a player I like. He's still converting from a running back to receiver in the last couple of years, still learning the position, but the upside is massive. If you want an X receiver, Cedric Tillman, I think at 63, that's great value for him. In some ways, I like him better than Jalen Hyatt as an overall receiver, so keep that in mind. Marvin Mims, I think, could be a good fit for Kansas City. A.T. Perry, if you want to get a bigger guy, 6'3", 200 pounds. Tank Dell, he's a fun player, undersized, but he could do some fun things in this offense. Jaden Reed is a player that's there as well. Some cornerbacks, if they want to add a piece to their secondary. Listen, Joey Porter Jr. is still there. Brett Veach loves this guy. Go get him. I mean, put him in your secondary. Clark Phillips III. There's been some slight buzz that maybe the Chiefs would be willing to trade L'Jarius Sneed instead of paying him after this year. Clark Phillips is a guy who I think would play nickel in the NFL. Cam Smith at that outside corner spot is a player to monitor as well. And then you've also got DJ Turner in the mix is another player to monitor at that cornerback position. But you filled one of your top needs right now in Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the edge rusher out of Kansas State. I think other positions to monitor tomorrow, tight end. There's some good tight ends still available in this NFL draft. Michael Mayer didn't get picked tonight. Darnell Washington didn't get picked tonight. Luke Musgrave, Sam Laporta. There's still some good tight ends that Brett Veach could be interested in if they want to add a piece to that position group. Do they want to get another offensive tackle to compete with Lucas Niang at right tackle? That could be intriguing as well. Did want to get this note in here as well. Dane Brugler's analysis on Anudike-Uzomah. He says, he has only average get off and arc speed as a rusher and must become more consistent in the run game, but he plays hard and mixes up his rush to keep his pursuit alive, which is what he does best. Projects, as a physical face-up power rusher with the impact potential to compete for an NFL starting role. Again, not flashy, not the most athletic guy ever, but I think it's just solid. He's a guy who I think, he can give you 6 to 8 sacks once he kind of starts to reach his potential. And if he can do that consistently year in and year out, I think back into the first round, that is pretty good value at the end of the day. All right, we took a look at some guys that could be in play for the Chiefs tomorrow. So who do you want the Chiefs to draft next? Let me know down in the comment section below. I got to be honest. If one of those 4 remaining tight ends falls to 63, I would love that. I think a receiver would be fun. Cedric Tillman, I think, is a name to monitor. But let me know who you would like to see the Chiefs draft next, and we'll have you covered tomorrow as well. So be sure to subscribe. Don't miss any of our coverage, as we're going to have pick-by-pick analysis here on the Chiefs Report. Chiefs draft grades at the end of every night. Tonight, B, solid B for Felix Anudike-Uzomah. We'll see you guys tomorrow here on the Chiefs Report.